What's up, Internet? It is me, the Notorious B.I.V, and today we're talking about The Last Duel. Ta-da! So, I got the poster way back when, and I did not see the movie, and then it just popped up the other day on my HBO Max feed, so I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll check it out. And so this show is by like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's production company, I guess. It's produced by them, and so like the first thing you notice about this show, the first thing I noticed that I thought was kind of odd is they have gone way out of their way to make Matt Damon and Ben Affleck look much less Afflecky and Damon-y. Okay, so like Matt Damon's character has like this really horrible mullet, and then Ben Affleck's character, he's just kind of a minor character in the show, but he's a character in the movie, and he has like this little bowl cut with like this little goatee, and it's like blonde, it's like dyed blonde, and his eyebrows are dyed blonde, and his hair's all dyed blonde. And so yeah, and then Adam Driver's just like Adam Driver, right? He's just, he's usual Adam Driver. So I don't know why they wanted to disguise themselves so much and not Adam Driver. But anyway, maybe because Adam Driver's just such a gorgeous man that you just can't like. Anyway, whatever. So the story starts out. It's a medieval story, medieval times, like 1300s, something like that. And it starts out as we're watching Matt Damon's story, basically, but it doesn't specifically say that. I don't believe it says that, but we just start watching the story, and it's like, oh yeah, Matt Damon's the main character and whatever, and then it just seems like a pretty basic story. But then we see then sort of this placard comes up, and it's like chapter 2 of the story, right? And it's this other guy's point of view, and it actually says that, like Legree's point of view, right? That's Adam Driver. And so at that point I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those stories, right? Where like we get multiple viewpoints, and then and I'm thinking, so the woman's viewpoint is going to be like, that's going to like blow everything away, right? And we're going to find out, oh, this is what really happened, right? And it's like going to like blow us all away. So there are three main characters. There's Matt Damon's character, his wife, who's the woman in the story, and I don't know the actress's name, but she's an incredibly beautiful woman and does a very subtle, very very good performance in this movie. And then so she's his wife, and then Adam Driver is kind of like his rival, right? They're like they're frenemies, okay? They're frenemies, and so I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's gonna be like one of those movies, like Knives Out or something, right? Where it's like we find out this person's perspective and this person's perspective, but then we find out the real story, right, or whatever. So that's what I was, and this movie is 2.5 hours long, okay? So the problem for me with this movie, came when we get to that third point of view, and it's like, so like the first point of view and the second point of view were kind of like, there were little differences, right? But they were basically the same story. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get that. Like, people have different perspectives or whatever. Sure. So then the woman's story comes, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Like this is gonna be like, and I was expecting maybe like that she orchestrated the whole thing, and she's behind, and she to get her, to help her husband get ahead or whatever, and she like orchestrated all these things, and we were gonna see all this behind the scenes, like, oh, she did this and she manipulated, whatever. I thought like some kind of something interesting is gonna happen here. Well, then we see her story, and it's just like the same story, but from a slightly different viewpoint again, right? And I'm like, okay. So, and the story's basically like, Matt Damon's character, uh, he's kind of, he has he has beef with Adam Driver's character, right? He kind of feels like he's being slighted throughout the whole movie. And Adam Driver, so he's in the good graces of Ben Affleck's character, who's sort of a noble. So the noble's kind of over both of these guys, right? But the noble likes Adam Driver, and he thinks Matt Damon's character is like a dork or whatever. And I honestly was thinking like that. I was wondering if this is if Ben Affleck was kind of playing himself in this role. You know what I mean? Like I could totally see him being like this, being like, oh yeah, if you're one of my boys or whatever, then you're cool, and if you're not, then you're not in the club, and I don't have to talk to you or whatever, right? Um, but Ben Affleck's also a lot thinner in this show that I've seen him in the last couple roles that I've seen him in. He was really beefy as Batman in Zack Snyder's in the Snyder Cut in the Justice League. And then there was a show on Netflix that I saw of his that was where he's like a mercenary. They're like these four mercenaries, and they take this one last job or whatever, and it goes awry or whatever. I can't remember what the name of the show was. But so Ben Affleck's character, he's like the noble over these guys, right? And Matt Damon just like, kind of gets the short end of the stick and stuff, and he's pissed about it, and that would suck. I mean, like if it was the Middle Ages, and like, right, and you're like under this noble guy, and he doesn't like you. It's like there's not a whole lot you can do about it, right? It would kind of suck. I got a very poor performance review at work the other day, and I'm like, well, I can always quit and find another job, right? Like, at least I have that option. Matt Damon didn't have that option here. It's 1300 AD, and so a series of things kind of happen, culminating in like this one incident between him and Adam Driver that results in them having a duel, the last duel. But it just bugged me that I had to watch the same story essentially 3 times, right? And like none of those 3 accounts. It's a pretty basic story, and none of those 3 accounts like really pops or makes any difference to the story. So I'm just like, why did I? They could have easily shaved like an hour of runtime off of this, and just made it, a straightforward story. But instead, we have to slog through these 3 different perspectives of the same story over and over again, and it just felt like a waste of time at the end, because none of it changed the outcome, right? The outcome was still the same, and I was just like, eh. So that really bugged me, and sort of soured the whole movie for me, I think. There, like I said, there are some really good performances in the movie. Some good action. Like the duel is brutal, man. It's like, wow. Like a lot of action in the duel, and it was a good fight. And I don't know why it's I don't know why it's the last duel. Like they never really explain in the movie why it's called the last duel. I mean, it's like the last duel between these 2 guys because one of them dies at the end as a result of the duel. So I guess you could say that, but like, it's not like, there's nothing at the end that says like duels were outlawed after this duel, so this is the last duel, whatever, right? So there's nothing like that. So so yeah, all in all, I found the last duel pretty disappointing. But and it was an all right story, and it was okay. I didn't like the. I guess I didn't like my expectations being set up to you know to enjoy a certain type of story, and then it not being that story. So yeah, so that's what I thought of the last duel, and let me know what you thought in the comments below. I am the Notorious B.I.V, and I will see you all in the next video, baby.